The TxDOT Department of Transportation, or TxDOT, welcomes you to the I-30 East Corridor virtual public meeting on June 8, 2021. We appreciate your interest in the project and thank each of you for your participation. Please note, for the virtual public meeting, you can pause this presentation at any point to allow more time to view the slides or get a more detailed view of project design and other exhibits on the website.
Howdy, I'm John Hudspeth, Director of Transportation Planning and Development for the TxDOT Dallas District. Thank you for joining us as we conduct this virtual public event. Understanding how our projects impact communities is important to TxDOT. The following presentation will provide instruction on how you can connect with us and provide vital input about this project. We will continue to work closely with stakeholders, communities, and the public as we move forward. Thank you for your time and interest in improving our transportation system, and we look forward to receiving your comments.
Director for the City of Dallas. I would like to thank you for your interest in the I-30 East Corridor project. This is an exciting project, one that I'm sure will improve community connectivity in areas that have been affected by the current elevated highway segment. Reconstructing I-30 by depressing the main lanes for nearly 3 miles to the east of I-345 will help to reknit the communities on either side by connecting cross streets. This will also allow the city to pursue creating deck parks and plazas over the top of the highway. The City of Dallas is committed to continuing the partnership with TxDOT to not only improve mobility along the I-30 corridor, but to utilize its reconstruction to foster community cohesion in the years to come, in line with the City of Dallas guiding principles for I-30 redesign. Thank you.
Given the unique circumstances of the COVID-19 outbreak, along with our commitment to protecting our public health during this pandemic, TxDOT is conducting virtual public meetings in addition to in-person public meetings. Details on how to submit a comment and how to have your questions addressed will be covered later in this presentation. All project information can be found on the project website at www.keepitmovingdallas.com/I30EC. This virtual public meeting is being held to present project information that has been developed so far about the I-30 East Corridor and receive feedback from the public on the proposal. Feedback collected from this public meeting will be used as we proceed with the project design. Comments will be accepted in several ways. You may fill out an online comment form, submit a written comment via email to nelson.underwood@txdot.gov, submit a written comment via U.S. mail to the TxDOT Dallas District Office, attention Nelson Underwood, PE, 4777 East Highway 80, Mesquite, Texas, 75150, or leave a verbal comment via voicemail at 833-933-0443. Comments must be received or postmarked within 15 days of the June 8th public meeting date, which is Wednesday, June 23rd, 2021. Comments received by June 23rd will be addressed in a summary report and posted to the project website. Questions on this project may be directed to the TxDOT Project Manager, Nelson Underwood, PE, at nelson.underwood@txdot.gov. The overall I-30 East Corridor project limits extend along I-30 between I-345/I-45 and Broadway Boulevard in Dallas County. The subject of this public meeting is the segment between I-345/I-45 and Ferguson Road that extends approximately 4.4 miles. The dashed alignment on the map shows the limits of the segment between I-345/I-45 and Ferguson Road, and the orange shows the overall I-30 East Corridor project limits between I-345/I-45 and Broadway Boulevard. A larger, more detailed version of this location map is also available online. The typical project development process follows these 7 basic steps shown on the slide. We are currently at the preliminary design schematic and environmental study stage. This slide provides a brief overview of the project's history and the interagency coordination that have occurred as the project has advanced in its development. Our current work builds off these 3 major studies, along with other studies within the corridor. First, the 2003 East Corridor Major Investment Study, or MIS, studied I-30 from west of I-45 to Dolphin Road and included multimodal recommendations such as bicycle and pedestrian facilities like the Santa Fe Trail, transit improvements such as the dark green line, and I-30 capacity improvements with reversible managed lanes. And MIS was a precursor to what we now call a feasibility study. Second, the 2005 Project Pegasus included I-30 from Beckley Avenue to east of I-45 and I-35 east from Colorado Boulevard to State Highway 183 and culminated in improved schematic and environmental assessment. This study led to the construction of the I-30/I-35 East Horseshoe Project. Finally, the 2016 city map considered scenarios for freeways around downtown Dallas, including I-30, I-35 East, and I-345/I-45. City map had 2 I-30 East Corridor scenarios. The first was to construct I-30 East Dallas below grade, and the second proposed relocating I-30 to the south. In developing the various planning scenarios presented in TxDOT City Map Study, TxDOT applied a variety of guiding principles as it sought to engage with the City of Dallas and other stakeholders interested in the transportation in and around the Central Business District. These guiding principles are listed on this slide, which continue to steer the collaborative process that has thus far led to the proposed design for I-30 presented in this public meeting. The current schematic concept presented in this public meeting has used several avenues for input, including dozens of regular City of Dallas coordination meetings conducted with city staff since March 2019, and over 20 individual stakeholder briefings involving TxDOT and/or the City of Dallas with many diverse stakeholders, some of which are listed here representing neighborhoods, religious organizations, and individual businesses or business consortiums. These efforts have informed the proposed design presented in this I-30 East Corridor public meeting. The existing I-30 roadway includes 8 general-purpose lanes, 4 in each direction, 1 reversible high-occupancy vehicle, or HOV lane. The existing I-30 main lanes and HOV lane are on an elevated bridge structure from I-345/I-45 to Haskell Avenue, with main lane overpasses from Haskell Avenue to Dolphin Road. The frontage roads vary from 2 to 3 lanes in each direction and are discontinuous within these limits. The proposed design for the project segment being shared in this public meeting would consist of reconstructing and widening approximately 4.4 miles of I-30 from I-345/I-45 to Ferguson Road. The project would include 10 main lanes, 5 in each direction, thereby increasing freeway capacity. However, a highlight of this reconstruction would be to depress the main lanes below ground level from I-345/I-45 to Dolphin Road to allow cross streets to bridge over I-30 and connect with frontage roads at grade. This design would serve to reknit the street grid and provide for potential deck parks and plazas that would make the highway less of a barrier between adjacent communities and neighborhoods. Proposed design also includes 2 reversible managed lanes, discontinuous at grade frontage roads with 2 to 3 lanes in each direction, and the reconstruction of ramps and bridge structures. Accommodations for bicycle and pedestrian travel along the project corridor are a component of project development. This slide further highlights the benefits to the local street network from decompressing I-30 main lanes. The proposed project would reconnect Caldwell Street and Beeman Avenue and construct a bridge crossing for city-planned 4th Avenue. A total of 15 streets that currently cross under I-30 bridges from Malcolm X Boulevard to Ferguson Road would cross over I-30 and would have connections with new segments of frontage roads where such are constructed. In a few instances near the I-30 interchanges with I-345/I-45, small streets that cross beneath the extended I-30 bridge structure would be severed due to the need for ramps connecting with the interchange. However, in all but one instance, these roads would acquire access to the frontage road, or in the case of 3rd Avenue, would have the new roadway bridge for the planned 4th Avenue constructed nearby. In addition to improving the road network connections, the many cross streets would be compatible with design guidelines in the City of Dallas Complete Streets Design Manual. This manual encourages the design of city streets to do more than simply move traffic. Rather, local streets should also be designed to serve the destinations located along the streets, for safe use by motor vehicles as well as bicyclists and pedestrians. In short, complete streets serve myriad needs of urban dwellers with street designs that contribute to the neighborhood's character and quality of urban life, as illustrated in this graphic example from the Complete Streets Design Manual. Reconstructing I-30 near the Dallas downtown area so it is below grade from the surrounding community allows the creation of the urban effects seen here along I-670 in Kansas City at both day and night. Making complete streets a reality in Dallas will contribute to a more livable urban environment while making great strides in keeping traffic moving. The City of Dallas has prepared exhibits that provide examples of design precedents in various settings in Dallas. These exhibits are available on the project's webpage for this public meeting. This slide displays the current conceptual design for the I-30 East Corridor and an alternative option for ramping and access between I-345 and I-45 and Carroll Avenue. Notable destinations in this part of the corridor are Baylor Hospital and Deep Ellum to the north, and Fair Park to the south. The topmost roll plot was developed in coordination with the City of Dallas, and it shows highway off and on ramps connecting to a proposed 4th Avenue extension that would lead to Highway 352, 1st Avenue, and the Haskell Peak Couplet. These streets would become the primary north-south thoroughfares through this section of Dallas. 1st Avenue would become the primary connection from I-30 to Baylor Hospital. In contrast, today's roadways in this area have highway on and off ramps in the Fair Park area distributed among several streets, making wayfinding and navigation difficult, causing backups on the freeway and encouraging high speeds on several city streets. The second roll plot on the bottom depicts a portion of the same area, but with an alternative westbound ramping and access concept that is supported by the Deep Ellum Foundation. This alternative concept has the highway off-ramp connecting to Commerce Avenue rather than 1st Avenue, and would include a frontage road system along I-30 in the Fair Park area. In this alternative concept, Commerce Avenue would become the primary thoroughfare between I-30 and Baylor Hospital. This slide displays the proposed conceptual design east of the area shown in the previous slide, generally from Caldwell Street to Ferguson Road on these two rolls. This design was also developed in coordination with the City of Dallas. This area would not be affected by a choice of either alternative shown in the previous slide. The conceptual design for this section of I-30 shows highway on and off ramps connecting to Munger Boulevard / Ferry Avenue, East Grand Avenue, and Dolphin Road. These exhibits are available online. After receiving and addressing comments from this public meeting, this current conceptual design will be further refined in coordination with the City of Dallas and developed into a detailed schematic design. Prior to December 16, 2014, the Federal Highway Administration, or FHWA, reviewed and approved documents prepared under NEPA. However, on December 16, 2014, the Texas Department of Transportation assumed responsibility from FHWA through a Memorandum of Understanding to review and approve certain assigned NEPA environmental documents. This Memorandum of Understanding between TxDOT and FHWA was updated on December 9, 2019, and the review and approval process prescribed by it applies to this project. The project constraints map is used to help planners and engineers determine the least impactful method to fulfill the purpose of the project. The design team carefully considers social and environmental constraints during project development. The constraints map was developed early in project design from desktop data. The full map can be viewed on the project website. The existing right-of-way typically ranges from 195 to 483 feet in width. It is anticipated that additional right-of-way will be required. The final determination of right-of-way or relocation requirements will not be known until the schematic is further detailed and refined. This also applies to existing right-of-way areas determined during project design to be surplus to future transportation needs. All right-of-way acquisition would be completed in accordance with the Uniform Relocation Assistance and Real Property Acquisition Policies Act of 1970 as amended. Brochures titled The Purchase of Right-of-Way and Relocation Assistance are available on the TxDOT website at the link shown at the bottom of this slide. These materials contain detailed information about your rights as a landowner and to provide information about the TxDOT right-of-way acquisition process. As stated earlier, the reconfiguration of ramps and other changes to the geometry of the I-30 East Corridor project is expected to result in areas that would potentially become surplus right-of-way. TxDOT has a process in place outlined on this slide that gives priority to local government agencies who may be interested in acquiring such areas. The process begins once construction is complete and is handled by TxDOT's right-of-way division. Surplus tracts would first be offered for purchase at the appraised value to the City of Dallas, Dallas County, and Dallas Independent School District for 30 days. If none of these entities is interested in a surplus right-of-way tract, TxDOT next offers it for purchase at its appraised value to abutting property owners for 30 days. If this does not result in sale of the tract, then TxDOT notifies the general public of the opportunity to submit a sealed bid offer to purchase, and the property would be sold to the highest bidder. In addition to the I-30 East Corridor project, a feasibility study for I-345 from I-30 to Spur 366 Woodall-Rogers Freeway is underway. This is a separate study being conducted by TxDOT and will include its own public involvement. Virtual and in-person public meetings will be held on Tuesday, June 22, 2021. The in-person public meetings will be held at the Shed at the Dallas Farmers Market from 3 to 7 p.m. and at St. Philip's School and Community Center from 4 to 8 p.m. COVID safety measures apply to in-person meetings, and you may receive a public meeting notification by using the email shown. The I-30 East Corridor project improvements on display in this public meeting will work with any future options of I-345, meaning these improvements will not preclude any options for I-345. Several guiding principles and concepts developed by the City of Dallas have assisted with the development of this complex project. These guiding principles grew out of several important studies summarized in the city's compendium of prior mobility solution studies. 3 studies in particular, City Map, the 360 plan, and high-speed rail included several recommendations in common that were distilled into guiding principles that have helped shape the future I-30 redesign in downtown Dallas. These principles were presented to the Dallas City Council Mobility Solutions, Infrastructure and Sustainability Committee in January 2019 and are shown on the slide. TxDOT has formed a technical work group with local agency partners, including the City of Dallas and the North Central Texas Council of Governments, or NCT-COG. Together, the work group supports a unifying approach to meet the goals of the I-30 East Corridor project, including those shown on the screen. The work group shares information to ensure that each agency's potential projects are considered. This includes coordination with the City of Dallas on its street network and design directives/guidelines, and with NCT-COG on the regional traffic model and metropolitan transportation plan. The work group supports the process TxDOT is following and is committed to working together for the duration of the I-30 East Corridor project. Once public meeting comments have been received, the work group will reconvene to address public comments and complete the schematic and environmental evaluation process. The City of Dallas has been coordinating with TxDOT on the proposed improvements for the I-30 East Corridor project, evaluating many of the concepts developed jointly by TxDOT and city staff. Major topics of discussion have included providing for complete street sections on cross streets and frontage roads, coordinating the modified access and influence on the city street grid, providing allowances for deck parks, and identifying potential surplus right-of-way. TxDOT assisted in identifying potential locations along the I-30 East Corridor that would be suitable for constructing viable deck plazas or parks. Experience with other deck plazas and parks, such as the one across the Woodall-Rogers Freeway between Pearl Street and North Street, Paul Street, has demonstrated that such amenities improve community connectivity in areas separated by major highways. Deck plazas and parks so situated represent a partnership between TxDOT and the City of Dallas because the deck crossing of the I-30 freeway would be owned, operated, and maintained by the City of Dallas. The City will continue to work with TxDOT to confirm these locations are feasible for capping and/or modify based on stakeholder input. The City is looking to partner with the private sector on these opportunities and will work with stakeholders to begin to identify funding and programming for these potential deck plazas. It is possible that if funding were to become available, the deck plazas could be constructed with the I-30 project. If funding is not immediately identified, the City will continue to work with TxDOT to ensure that the I-30 improvements accommodate future deck plazas, similar to how Clyde Warren Park was constructed several years after Woodall-Rogers was constructed. The public comment period for this early phase of the proposed project ends Wednesday, June 23rd. The preliminary concept plan presented at this public meeting will be further refined as part of the schematic design phase for the project. The development of the schematic design will be accompanied by environmental studies to determine the potential impacts of the proposed improvements and to explore mitigation alternatives to avoid or minimize those impacts. It is expected that environmental clearance will be received by or before summer 2022. Thereafter, detailed design of the project will be developed to assist in letting a contract for the construction of the project. The project is currently not fully funded in TxDOT's current Unified Transportation Plan. As mentioned earlier, comments will be accepted in 4 ways, which are outlined here. All statements, comments, and questions will be given careful consideration before final design features are determined. As a reminder, all comments must be received or postmarked by Wednesday, June 23rd, 2021 to be included in the official public meeting documentation. We sincerely appreciate your participation and interest concerning the proposed design of the I-30 East Corridor project. Your questions, comments, and concerns will receive careful consideration. Thank you. This concludes the presentation.